underwriting is a skill. It's an art to learning how to input the numbers and how to evaluate these properties. If you would like to learn how to underwrite properties like this or properties like that, then come and join my coaching program. My contact information will be below. So I would like to take this time to welcome everyone to the commercial multifamily mastermind underwriting session. Today, we're going to do things a little differently. So we're going to underwrite a deal and we're going to go step by step. So this here, if you can hang in there with us during this process, because it's going to run past 12. I can tell you that now, and it's scheduled for an hour and a half. It may even run just a little longer than that. But we are going to definitely underwrite a property, okay? And this is an actual property. This is not a deal that's made up. This is an actual property located in San Antonio, Texas, okay? So I just want to say welcome everyone to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. We are a member of the GOB network. I'm gonna take just a minute and let Richard Copeland and Mark Gross introduce themselves, because they are people that support us. And when I say us, I mean they support Commercial Multifamily Mastermind, and they also support the GOB network. So I'm going to take this time. Let's go, Richard Copeland, introduce yourself first. Mark Gross, introduce yourself, and then we're going to jump right into the underwriting session. Go ahead.
Hey, Darryl, thank you for this opportunity. I hope everyone enjoyed the Memorial Weekend. Uh, just to give you a little bit about us, we are commercial mortgage brokers. We arrange debt and equity for commercial and multifamily real estate nationwide. We do bridge, permanent construction, financing. So if you have any questions about a deal, what financing might look like, or what alternatives you may need to have, please give us a call. My information will be in the chat.
And Mr. Gross, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Excuse me. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome from Chicagoland. Just wanted to say that I'm with CSSI. We're the largest provider of cost segregation services. So I'll put my information in the chat for a free preliminary analysis. Also doing R&D, research and development credits, and Section 179 credits as well. So happy to help, and hope you all have a great day. Thanks.
Sounds good. That's a winner. All right, let's jump right into this, because this is going to take time. And like I said, it's going to run greater than an hour, although I did allocate for an hour and a half. It may even run just a little bit over, because I really want to try to touch on everything. Now, I have to, so that we don't run over too much time, I did prepare somewhat with certain information, okay? Certain information. And you're going to see some new stuff, which some of you may be doing, and I hope you are. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, this is not going to be a monologue. All right. This is not going to be a monologue. This is going to be an interactive underwriting session. Everyone here has underwriting capabilities. Okay. So I would like to see the participation from everyone. Okay. Now, for the purpose of me not wanting to give out the address and stuff like that, that part I'm just going to hold back. All right. I am going to hold that back. But we're still going to move forward, and we're still going to do what we need to do. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. I forgot to check 2 things.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Then, as we do move forward, I'm going to show you, talk with you about my rationale behind some things and stuff like that. Okay. All right. So, oops, I forgot to open up the T12. Give me 1 second. Let me open up the T12. Okay. And let me do one more thing. And then after that, we'll get started. So I'm the one now that's holding everybody up, because I totally didn't think about this part right here. Okay. Okay. So I think we're prepared now, and we are ready to go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and put this back up. Let me share my screen, and let's have a good time. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask everyone to please hold their questions, or if you can't hold your questions, please put your questions in the chat, because it takes a lot of time to get through this underwrite. So, I'm just going to ask everyone, please put your questions in the chat if you can't stick around to get your questions answered. Okay. To get your questions answered, if you have to leave. Now, if you put your question in the chat, I'm going to answer your questions. The video will be uploaded to YouTube, and you could go back, review, and you will see that I answered your questions. So don't think your questions are not going to get answered. They are. Okay. All right. So this is where we're going to learn, because this is going to be a question, and it's going to be interactive and stuff like that. So I'm just going to, I want to keep this basic. I don't want to get too deep, because as we go on, we may start getting a little deeper. But I would like to ask everyone, what are the 3 things you want from the broker?
The OM, rent
Okay.
roll,
Mhm.
which is called on the current. I asked for the current profit and loss statement.
Correct. T12. So those three documents are the documents that you're going to need, and you need them in the most current. Okay. The one thing Daniel said, he said the most current, right? You want that rent roll, you want that T12 to be current. You don't want it to be 90 days old and all of that, a year old, because I've seen it. Okay. So now I'm going to toss out another question to you, and let's see. It's not a trick. Okay. It's not a trick question. You're dealing directly with the seller now. No broker. You're dealing directly with the seller. What are the documents you're going to ask the seller for?
I know one you don't ask them for. You don't ask them the T12 in an Excel spreadsheet.
You ask them for the same things. What you ask for doesn't change. Then you allow them to answer and respond if they have it or don't have it.
Correct.
What
So
happened when they give you what happened when they give you their T12 Excel spreadsheet?
that's good. I mean, it's okay. That's how I get mine from the broker. Not unless they want to put it in a PDF, then I got to convert it to an Excel. But that's how it should come. It's easier. It's easier to work with. So when it comes to you dealing directly with the seller's not going to know nothing about no OM. Okay, you can forget about that. But he is going to know about the rent roll and that T12. Okay, and if you're working directly with him, you should have, I'm gonna say, a pretty good relationship to where he's willing to give you that rent roll and that T12. So, do I have the rent roll and T12? Yes, I do. Okay, right. So to show everyone, here's the rent roll and here's the T12. Okay, here's the rent roll, here's the T12. All right. Okay, so now you have your rent roll, you have your T12, you have your model. Your model is open. It doesn't matter what model you're using, whether if it's my model, which is here, and my model is also going to be going through some changes. But whether if it's my model, whether if it's Michael Blanc's model, whether if it's Robert Beardsley model, I don't care what model you're using, you're going to put the basic information in, okay? The basic information. And what is that basic information? You're going to put in your unit mix. And as you continue, then we're going to jump into the T12 and we're going to examine it. So to save time, I already have the unit mix ready, broken out, okay, categorized. And that's right over here, okay? So I also took courses in AI, right? And what I did, I uploaded my rent roll into AI. And I asked AI to categorize that rent roll. Give me my average, give me the last rent charge. I also want to know whether if it's going in, whether the rent is increasing or whether it's decreasing. Okay. So as you can see right here, and I also asked it to create a chart for each of the unit types. Okay. And as you can see, it did. It gave me just what I was looking for. So and you can see here we have decreases, and here's an increase in the 470 square feet, which is that gold color. And if you look right here, I know it's all mixed in together, but at the end right here, you'll see the gold color have a little spike there where the rent is increasing, and as for the rest of them, as you can see, it says decreasing. It's just a slight decrease. Now, for what I would say to each of you is when you have something like this, okay, and I did go back to that rent roll and see how much of a decrease. Okay, we all, of course, if you're keeping up with today's market, today's economy, your market, I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to say, if you're keeping up with your market, then you know whether that rent is going down, increasing, or hanging steady. Okay. All right. So I wanted, so I just fed it to AI, and of course I prompted and everything, and this is the information it spit out to me. I did check it, and it is correct. So what you're going to see me do now, you're going to see me put a little space here. The one thing I didn't do was tell it to put a space between the unit type and the square footage, and I'm going to show you why. Because I'm going to take this, oops, hold on one second. I got to make sure I set it up correctly. Yeah, unit type here, here, here. So it should be the first four. And so I'm just going to take this here, 1, 2, 3, and this is the, this is the fourth. Okay. Now, if you're working with my model, you have a whole bunch of spaces that's going to be Okay, there it is. See that right there? So it shows up right there. There it is. Now we don't really need the rest of these, so we're just gonna lower this like this right here, and don't delete like on your models. You know, if you have a bunch of extra rows, don't delete them. Just hide them. Okay, just like that. All right. So now, the reason why I added the space was because of already renovated. Now, since I have not toured this property, I'm just going to take it as a no, and or until they could tell you specifically which units have been renovated, which units have not been renovated. And since I'm saying that they have not been renovated, I'm going to just uh copy this over here, number of units to be renovated, and I'm just going to put it in. Okay. So now, when it comes to your model, whatever model you use, or you may not have this, you may have this, but just remember the basic now. You're putting in your unit mix, you're going to put in your average rents, you're going to put in the total number of units. That's what you're going to do. Okay. Now, because the rest of this may not be there. Don't let this confuse you. Okay. Do not let this confuse you. Just say, hey, Darryl said, don't let it confuse me. I'm just going to put in what, please mute yourself. Please, everyone, please mute yourself. So I'm just going to ask you all just to don't worry about all this, the little minor stuff. Just put the data in the way you need to put the data in. Okay? So now we're going to come over here to the projected renovated units and the current effective rents. Now, the rent roll, I had it prompt, so it told me that. So here are my average rents. Okay. So now how did I get the average rents? Alicia, can you please tell everybody how I got the average rents? Don't be scared.
No, sorry, I was looking for the unmute. The average rents, you took them from each of those categories and averaged the rents that were already being paid.
Fantastic. And she's absolutely correct. So let's just take, okay, see, I already have one ready for you. The 470s. I needed to know what the average rent is. Here's the current rent, right? The one thing I did take out, I took out the zeros, okay? All the blanks. Sometimes it could be blanks. And I just want the average of these rents. See right here? So all I do is you go like this right here, boom, highlight it, you get the average. There it is. Okay. That's how you do it. Now, next, what we're going to do, you see right here where it says last rent charged, right here. So I'm going to highlight this, copy, right? And I'm going to put in my projected rent renovated units. Okay. Now, if I was not going to renovate these units, then I'll put a projected rent standard units. Okay. That's what I would do. But we're going to go ahead for now, for the sake of this particular project, and until I talk to the broker, or you may have to talk to the seller or whoever. Okay, and you tour that property, because what they may say is renovated, right? When you see it, you may say, no, I don't like the way that's renovated. So you're going to change the renovation. Okay, then you're going to say, okay, this is renovated, this is not renovated, right? That's what you may do. Okay, so now everything is squared away. Now this is the basic part, the easy part, right? Putting in your unit mix. Okay, so now this part here is going to come later. All right, this is where you're going to get your comps from. This is where you're going to put your comp information, right? You have 1 bedrooms, you have 2 bedrooms, you have 470 square feet all the way up to 956 square feet. Now, this particular part right here, I'm not going to do, but we are going to move on. We are going to continue with everything else. We are going to get into the taxes and stuff like that. Okay. All right. So now, in reference, so something I am going. Oh, I didn't ask this question. Can someone tell me how I came up with these numbers, the projected renovated rents? What document did I use to get this projected renovated rent?
The rent roll.
The rent roll. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you. So what I did, I looked for, this is what I told the AI. I said, hey, AI, put those rents uh in numeric order and tell me what's that last rent that was charged. And it told me, it said, hey, Darryl, yo, man, right? The last rent that was charged was on, and it gives you the date and everything of the last rent, April 1st, 10/50. You say, okay, so that's the last rent. Yep. And sure enough, as you can see here, and this is what I'm saying, this is where you look for trends. All right. And I was looking for a trend. I need to see trends. What direction are we going? Okay. So here, if you look at the beginning, if you look at the beginning going, well, let's just pull up 2024. Okay, we don't need 2023. Let's look at 2024. But you're looking for a trend right here. And when it came down to April 1st, all of a sudden it dipped off. Like, this here and this here is like an outlier, right? In other words, that's something that I'm going to want to question. Oops, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm in the wrong column. I'm in the wrong column. I should be in this column. Okay, so please accept my apologies on that. So I'm still looking for the trend. Everything I said before still remains the same. I just picked the wrong column, everyone. So you want? Oh man, I'm down to 84%. Let me make that larger. Let me go 100%. Okay. So right here, I'm looking for a trend. A trend. Boom. Are we going up? Or are we going down? See that? So here, 894, 899, 950, 953, 965, 1040, 1050. And the last rent charge was April 1st. Yes, I would take this here, 1050, okay, as the last rent charge. I would take that because I'm looking at the progress. Okay. All right. So yeah. So on my and what I should have done, everyone, I should have put this on my model so I wouldn't be flipping back and forth. But either way, it's there and so forth, right? So let's move on to the next. Okay. So so next, number of units currently occupied. It wants to know that. So we're going to go ahead and hit that rent roll, which is right here. I'm going to open up all of the units. So remove the filters. Let's clear out all the filters. All right. The number of units that occupied. What I'm going to do here, see right, I'm going to come right here, everyone. You see right here where it says, where's my vacant? Because I know I got a bunch of vacants up here. Okay.
Darryl,
Yes.
you still have a filter on start date.
There it is. Thank you. I know how something was going on, right? You don't need to see that. Let's get back to this rent roll. All right, here we go. Thank you very much. See that? Yeah, let's put all of it. That's what I'm like, yo, why? I said, I know I got vacants, right? All right, so let's get back to the vacants. Make sure I took all the rest of them filters off because that's what I had to do. Why my vacancies are still not showing up? Right here. That's why. Let's put all of that back. Okay. Wow, you look at that. You see that, everyone? Okay, now let's remove the vacants. Okay, so what's occupied? 193. If you look in your lower left corner, 193 units are occupied. So it says number of units currently occupied. You put 193. Total monthly rent of all occupied units. All you gotta do is go back to the rent roll. And you could tally up the total. All you gotta do is go like this right here, hit them all, and it's the total is 200,621. All right, 200,621. Okay, we're not gonna worry about dollar and cents. Okay, so now the projected annual CapEx reserves per unit. Now, this could range depending on how you were taught. Okay, your CapEx, it could be anywhere from, depending on the age of the building, as low as $250 all the way up to $400, $500, depending on the age of the building, depending on what's been done to that building. So for a 1980 building, let me see, do I have any of my students here? Besides, Alicia's not a student, she's my co-host. So any of my students here? Oh, nope. Okay. So I'm going to just throw a random question out. How do you calculate your CapEx? How would you calculate your CapEx? Then I'll tell you how we calculate ours. Anyone? Y'all afraid? Don't be scared. This is a learning environment. We're here to make mistakes. If you don't make a mistake, you're not growing. All right, here we go. Let me see, is Keith Allen here? Keith, you here? Or are you working? Oh man, people leaving? You don't want to, oh my goodness gracious. All right, so how about, let's see if I could tap into someone else here. All right, all right, Richard Copeland.
Yes, sir.
How would you, in this incident where you're figuring your CapEx expense right here, projected annual CapEx reserve per unit, this is a 1980 construction building, 256 units in San Antonio. How would you recommend the proper CapEx reserve number?
I would look at it based on industry norms, but also based on if I plan to do any CapEx to the property from that standpoint. From a lending perspective, the lender is going to get a PCA and they're going to do a reserve table and they're going to determine from that standpoint. But up to getting a third party report, just look for a standard norm, whether it be 250. If it's a student housing, 300 or so. If it's a much older building, go even higher.
So 1980 building, I want to say 350. What do you think about that?
From an owner standpoint, that would be fine. If I'm presenting this to a lender, I would go with 250 because that affects my loan proceeds.
Okay. So what I want everyone to, now, if y'all listen to what he said. Well, now, for those that are in my coaching program, now I'm going to jump to Alicia. Alicia, what number? And now, Richard, what Richard said is not wrong. Everyone underwrites differently. Okay. Everyone has perspectives that they use. Okay. However, in like in my coaching program, we do things just a little different, right? So let me see, Alicia.
Yes.
What number would I put there for this particular building, 1980?
So when we're looking at it based upon the age of 1980, we do 350. You've given us a range of 250 to 350, depending upon the age and what we're going to do. So taking what the lenders just said, 250, we would automatically do 350.
Exactly. So now the reason why, and I'm going to give you my rationale behind this, right? Yeah, the lender on majority of the time on commercial multifamily projects, yeah, they're like, hey, we want to see 250. But but for you being the owner of that project, you want to be more uh cautious. I think that's a good word I could say.
Yeah.
Cautious, conservative, whatever word you may want to use, but you want to come in a little higher than what the lender's going to be, what the lender will ask for. Okay. So we're gonna now. If this was a much older building, Alicia, would I jump that thing up even more? Let's say if this was a 1960 building, would I make that like $400-500?
Yes, if you decided to do a building that was before 1980.
Exactly. So Alicia's correct. I will wind up doing that. I would bump it up even more because I believe I go by the age of the building. So I want to now you notice I'm staying on this just a little bit. Suppose it's a 1960 building, but they renovated the building. They put in a whole new CapEx, new this, new that. They took it down to the studs, put in new electricity, put in new plumbing, put in new everything. Would I still go $400-500? Anyone? Would I?
No.
Huh? No, I wouldn't. Because they don't put in new studs, new electric, new plumbing, new everything. I would bump that down to probably like $300. I still wouldn't go to 250, but I would bump it down to $300. I would consider more of a new building. Okay. All right. So now, management fee. Okay, management fee. So this is where I'm gonna say, if you're underwriting, you should have built a relationship with a property manager. Okay. If you haven't and you know your market, you have your criteria for your building, you need to, find a property manager, build a relationship with them so that you can run your underwritings by. Okay. So for this particular asset, I already know that the property manager is going to come in at 3%. All right. There you go. And then we're going to come down to the taxes. Now, on this model, you could come in, you could do a tax rate, because some of you may be, say, in the state of Texas, where Texas doesn't really have a millage. They do things a little different. And we're going to touch bases on that in a few minutes. Okay. But you could do millage rate, you could do just a percentage, or you could just do a manual override. And we're going to do a manual override today. Okay. So we're going to come right down here to the manual override. Now we need to put a dollar amount in there, right? This is where you want to know, okay, when I acquire this property, what are my taxes are going to be? You're looking further out. You're looking like, hey, yeah, the taxes may be set for the year that you buy it, but I can tell you right now, that following year, you're going to get an assessment letter, and they're going to be asking you questions. And Texas is a non-disclosure state. Okay, but let me tell you right now how they're going to find out. I'm going to tell you right now how they're going to find out the value of your property. I'm telling you from experience. What they're going to do, they're going to send a paper to you. They're going to ask you how many units does that property have. Then they're going to ask you what the average rent is per unit type. Okay. Then they're going to ask you, what are your expenses on that property? And then you're going to give them your NOI. From there, you send that back to the appraisal district. The taxes or the taxes, depending on the county that you're in. and they're going to calculate your taxes. So no, you don't need to tell. It is a non-disclosure state. You're not disclosing the purchase price of the property, but I can tell you right now, they know how much, they know the value of that property because you're going to tell them, right? And the one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to, tell any kind of fibs on that paper, because if they find out that you falsify, and on that paper does say that it's like a little oath, I swear that I'm telling the truth and blah blah blah. You don't want to get in trouble. Okay, the best thing is to give them the information. If your tax come back higher, then hire the attorney to help lower those taxes and to bring them back. But that's I just wanted to tell you because that's from firsthand experience. Okay, so let's get back into this underwriting. All right. So now we're here at the taxes. Well, Darryl, how did you figure out the taxes? This is what I did. So what you're looking at here, these are the taxes. Okay. I went back to 2021 and I wanted to see what was the taxes. Then I came to 2022. I wanted to see what the taxes are. And then 2023, 2024. Now there's no 2025, so this is the last one, 2024. Now, I noticed if you look right here at the tax rate, 2.46, 2.29, you say, holy smoke, the tax rate went down, right? The tax rate went down, but wait a minute, your taxes still went up. It went up because the appraised value went up, okay? The appraised value went up. Okay, so now we come over here, okay, 2.29. You'll notice that 2023, 2024 stayed the same. However, the appraised value only went up 0.03%, okay, for this particular county. So now you're at 2024, but you're saying, wait a minute, if we're looking at our taxes here, this is the taxes. We see it went down 1%, and then here it jumped to 6%. Then here 0.03%. Right? This is where you have to now figure, holy smoke, what are my taxes? Because these are not regular step ups where I could say it's going up 4%, 5%. I said these things going up, down, up, down. You want to be careful. You want to be conservative on this method, and you want to, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will go with the 6%. And I did. So what I did right here, I took this amount right here, although this is 2024, I took this amount, added the 6%, and it came up to 529,359 right there. All right. So as you can see, although taxes did drop here, they started picking back up. And right here, 466, 499, right here, it just went up slightly. I'm prepared that they're going to go. I'm predicting that they're going to go up, and they may go up another 3%, 4%. They may not even hit 6%. But I'm going to go ahead with 6%. Okay. So 529, 359.50, and that's what I'm going to put in. 529, 359.50. To put in 529, 359.50. Now I am going to stop right here to see if anyone has a question as to the method that I used. And I would also like to know, what method do you use? All right. Nobody's going to say, I'm going to have to pick people. Come on now. This is a learning environment. Do not be afraid.
Darryl, the taxes, the method I use is call the tax office and find out what the present millage is and what the potential new millage is going to be for the following year.
Mhm.
And I use that because in certain cities of Texas, certain parts of Texas, taxes went crazy.
Mhm.
And unless you get that information from the city, you're gonna be undercharging yourself.
Mhm. And I like what he said. Um, Now in Texas, just like you said, you hop on the phone with them. I have, and but I also that last rate. That's the rate that they also like. What, this is the rate for 2024. We don't know what the rate is for 2025. So and if once if you call them, they start knowing your voice, right? Then ask them questions like, hey, do you see a trend going on? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you right now, in Houston, it's not like that. What you seeing right there in that county. Okay. That's Bexar County, okay. Where this property is located, it's in Bexar County. So I that what you saw there, I haven't seen that in Houston, in Houston, Texas. The way it's just up, down, up, down. I've seen nothing but the rate may be close where it doesn't go up a lot, but that appraised value constantly just go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. All right. So, but that's good, Daniel. Now, for those that are in states that have millage rates, okay, you say you have a millage rate, such as South Carolina, places, similar to that. I'm going to ask you to call the tax assessor's office and ask them for the formula that they use to calculate those taxes. And they will give you the formula
They
on
love
how
to
they
give you the
calculate.
formula. They love to give you the formula.
Yeah, they do. So I'm asking you, if you're in a particular market or state where they use a millage rate, call the tax assessor's office and say, hey, what's the formula that you use to calculate your taxes? And then you could, because a lot of times when you get to those particular kind of states, is sometimes based on the purchase price of the property. Okay. And if you're paying more money for that property than what the previous owner paid, hey, you already know your taxes are going to go up. Okay. All right. So let's continue with this underwrite.
Hey, Darryl, this is Ken. Can you use a company like CMI that gives you tax forecasts?
Listen, if you have a method that you like to use it. You want, if you could get as close as possible to what those taxes are, that's perfect. Okay. But hey, listen, add just a little bit more. Just a little, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't want to. I know you want to try to be on point, but sometimes the government will change things in midstream of the ocean, and instead of you going to Barbados, you wind up going to Aruba. All right, so just add like a little bit more, all right, just to cover yourself. All right, okay, so let's continue with this underwrite. Right. So now we have our taxes, growth rate, okay, for here and for here. Now I have to say, everyone, I use CoStar. I use CoStar for growth rates and stuff like that. So if I pull up CoStar, and it's going to reveal the address. So I'll prefer, we're just not going to use the CoStar for this time, but the growth rate, we're going to make the income 2%, and we're also going to make the expenses, we're going to make it both 2%. Okay, or 2.5. We'll make it 2.5, close to 3. All right. Now this is where you really need to know your market. So in reports, knowing what's going on in your market for the growth rate. Okay. Now there is one, when it comes to the rent growth, I'm going to show you something that I use. I don't mind. I could share that. All right. I could share that. Okay. So here, right here, This is the cost per unit. Now, your cost per unit, your operating expense are going to be given to you by your property manager. This is where, and you know, you hear people say rule of thumb. There's a rule of thumb, okay, for your operating expense. Really, that rule of thumb is going to be built from the relationship that you have with your property manager. That's where that's going to be built from. Don't guess. Try not to guess what your expenses are going to be, okay? Because you could guess wrong. And then you get the property under contract, come to find out your expenses are higher, and it's going to affect your NOI. Okay. So build that relationship with your property manager. So every time you run a deal past them for that market, you're going to notice, wait a minute, they basically telling me the same thing for this particular market. Write those numbers down. Keep them numbers. Now, those numbers are for that market. Okay? Those numbers are for that market, wherever that property is. Now, when you come out of that market and you go to another market, you need to give it to your property manager because it may not be the same. Okay? So whatever numbers you have, don't take Houston numbers over to Dallas, and don't take Dallas numbers over to Houston or anywhere else. And don't even think about going to a whole nother state with those numbers, because you need to get a property manager in that state, in that market, that's going to tell you what your operating expenses are going to be. Okay. So for this particular property, I already know. Repair and maintenance, $350. Payroll, $1,300. General admin, $300. Marketing, I already know, $150. Okay. Contract services, $300. Make ready, $350. Okay. So now these numbers, as I put them in the blue, if you notice, I'm putting them in the blue, right? When you put them in the blue, these numbers are going to populate somewhere else. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's now get to here. Okay. Asset fees. Okay. For a property like this, what should the acquisition? Let's go
Darryl,
back to, yeah.
you're not sharing your screen.
Whoa, hold on 1 second. What am I doing here? Not sharing my screen, and I'm putting in numbers and everything, right? Okay. So this is where, just to show you right here is where I put the operating expense: 350, 1,300, 300, 150, 300, and 350. Okay. Now I'm still, and I'm glad. Now I'm glad I didn't share the screen, because now I wanted, and Alicia said, "Hey, you're not sharing your screen," but I'm glad because now I wanted to add this. Although I put those numbers in, still send this over to my property manager, and I'm gonna tell you why. I had dealt with my property manager in a property in South Carolina. At that time, we were only using 1,100 for payroll, so I put in 1,100, and that's what we were using before COVID. Before COVID. It was after COVID, I was underwriting a property in South Carolina, in Columbia, sent the underwrite over to the property manager, and the property manager came back and said, yo, increase that payroll to 1,300. So that goes to show right there was a change in the market. Now, of course, they explained why. South Carolina had implemented some new stuff for property managers that had to be paid for. And it got passed to us. Okay. So, but then I noticed that even working with another property manager in a different state, I noticed even there they bumped theirs up to 1,300, because I used to use $1,100. Okay. Okay. So now let's put in the asset fees. You got acquisition fee, asset management fee, disposition fee, construction fee. So I would like to take one at a time. How many people charge an acquisition fee? Who here charges an acquisition fee?
I do.
All right. How much do you normally charge for a 256 unit property? What would you normally charge?
3%.
How much?
3%.
3%? Okay. Anyone else would like to weigh in? Come on, everyone. All right. All right. I'm not going to pick on them. Okay. So 3%. Daniel said, hey, Dad, let's do 3%. Daniel, we're going to go 3% on this one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now, but Daniel, how much now do you charge an asset manager fee?
No.
No? Okay. So we're going to leave that blank. Do you charge a disposition fee?
Yes.
How much?
It varies. I go from 1 to 2%.
All right. So let's do one then. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. And do you charge a construction management fee?
It depends on what I see the building look like. Yes, I do charge. Depends on what the building looks like.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So so for the purpose of this, I'm going to say 2%. Okay. Now I am going to come back to the asset management fee because I'm going to tell you something. That asset manager does a lot of work. And I can tell you that from firsthand experience. They do a lot of work. So I am going to have an asset manager fee. I'm going to put 1%. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on. Okay. So here we are to the pro forma. Now remember those numbers that I put in the operating expenses? Here they are, right here. Here's my taxes, right here. Okay. So I'm missing one thing. I'm missing my tablet. That's what I'm missing. My tablet's not in here. Okay. So now this is the performance. This is where we are going to start predicting or projecting, excuse me, where we're going. What, and I do need, in this case, I'm going to need the T12, right? So here is the T12. And let's first review the T12 before we start blotting in the numbers. Let's review this T12. Now, this T12 is March 2024. Is this an okay T12, March 2024? Somebody?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, it is. We could use it. We could use it. Okay. So
We could use it, but April's preferred.
yeah, it is. It's preferred. But so for the purpose, we're just going to use this right here. Now, everyone, when you're looking at, let me explain what one thing that I do here. You're probably wondering what is this here? I like to see a trend in my vacancy loss and my other losses. And as you can see right here, they started out in April 2023 as an 8%, but look, 10, 10, 9, 11, 14. Whoa, jumped up. 17, 17. Whoa, what's going on, right? What's going on?
No, I
17.
would definitely love to know what's going on.
Yeah. And you heard what he said, right? Look at this. 14, 14, 13, 16. So although you're averaging 13% on your vacancy loss, this is a question. What's going on? Now, what I did not tell you, and I'm going to have to back up just a little bit. Make sure you read the OM. All right. Because the OM may release some information to you. So this is what it is. It's 256 units, 16 units are down. Um, Due to for whatever, 16 units are down. Maybe just say 16 units are down. Then you want to reach out to the broker. Yo, why are these 16 units down? What's going on? Okay. Because you may have to allocate just a little more money. Can you tell me which units are down? Or we could go back to the rent roll. Now, sometimes they just say 16 units are down, and the rent roll will not identify which units are down. they will not identify. Okay. So, but get in contact with the broker. I notice your vacancy loss is high. What's going on? Okay. Why is it important to know that vacancy loss? And if it's high, why is it a concern? Can someone, not you, Richard Copeland, because I know you already know this, but who else can tell me why is it important to know that vacancy rate? And if you have a vacancy rate that is greater than 10%, if it's like 13, 14, 20%, why is that important to know and know why you have a high vacancy? Can someone tell me why? But
I had a
somebody's going to ask.
situation,
Go
I had a
ahead, go ahead.
situation like that. And the reason why it was going down is because the building across the street was offering less rent than this particular building was paying.
Excellent. You need to find out what's going on. You need to know why. Now, there's another reason why you also need to know what's going on with that building. Somebody is going to question you on that vacancy rate when you submit your underwrite T12 and rent roll to them. Who is that that's going to ask you some questions?
The bank, mortgage company.
Lender.
Exactly. The lender. The lender's going to say, hey, Darryl, you have now wait, let me stop. Now I'm going to bring in Richard Copeland because he's a lender. Richard, why is it a concern for the lender when you see a high vacancy rate?
It's a concern for the lender in the sense of the lender wants to get their money back. So they want to underwrite in a manner that is protective of them. So if they see a declining trend in the market or from a particular property, they want to know why, because they're going to underwrite to the higher vacancy if it's not a reasonable explanation. And that's going to impact your loan proceeds.
Correct. And will Fannie Freddie lend on an 80% occupied building?
Nope.
Not on permanent debt. Fannie likes to be 90 for 90 days. So that's a 10% vacancy as a guideline. There are certain situations where you can get around of it, but it's typically not that low. You're going to be closer to that 90 than anything.
There you go. Everyone, what Richard Copeland said is absolutely correct. And that's coming straight from the horse's mouth. Now, he's not a horse, but it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, man. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Alicia.
So the question that I have is, would you take into account if the building can pay for itself, even though it's at that high vacancy rate?
Now with Fannie and Freddie, you got to go a different route.
Say that one more time.
So not with Fannie and Freddie, you have to go a different route.
Okay.
Even though it can pay for itself. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. So I'm just thinking, like, during the underwriting, when you see there's a 10% vacancy, let's just say that's 2% higher than what the market is saying. But that building, even with the rents that it's currently getting, can pay the mortgage maybe double than what's being required. Is any of that taken into account?
With Fannie and Freddie, the 10% is their guideline, and that's what they pretty much stick to for the most part. Like I said, there are certain situations where you can be a little bit below that, and they still would do the deal, but they would typically begin the process with the instruction of you in mind getting to that 90%.
Gotcha.
And they would probably hold off closing till you make that number.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
And Richard, what you just said is what I like, because I've had that happen to where, they're saying, listen, you hold that property, you work what I like to say is you get a property like that, but there is a property that I'm looking at right now that's like that. And there's a bunch of vacant units, a lot. So what I'm willing to do with the seller, first of all, I can't give him what he wants. This guy wants a boatload of money, and it's not there. It's just not there. So I was like, hey, let's work together, right? Let's help. Let me help get this building um leased up. We're gonna have to wait 90 days because I really don't want to. I don't want to get bridge, not right now, and so forth. So uh, um, right now we're just going back and forth. I had to go to Texas um, for some business. I got a chance, and that's what the first time I went, not this last time I went. But I had to take a look at this property, and I wanted to see it. Nice property. Um, it's surrounded by a lot of industrial, but you're not too far from the main area. Okay, so you see me turning away when I'm doing. I have my tablet, so I'm just trying to pull up this property right here, so I can have my rent roll ready for you. That's all. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. So let's continue on with. So now we're going to put in the numbers. Now we're going to put the numbers in for the rent roll. I mean, for the model, and we're going to take it from the T12. Oh, wait a minute. Before, let's continue to review the T12. So when I say review the T12, what I'm saying is let's look for things that's going to be a concern. Okay. And things that you may want to ask questions on. Okay. So you're looking at numbers, trends, losses to lease, looking for big number changes. So this line right here, I'm looking here. I see here there was a lot of bad debt, but you notice it started leveling out. So that's way back in May. I'm not going to really be concerned with it right now, unless I was to see another big spike somewhere. Continue to look for big changes. Vacancy. This went from, if you notice here, 24, 31, 39, 46, 46. It came down a little bit, 38, 38. And that's just about right here when that 17% kicked in. So, but then it started drifting down, drifting down, drifting down. So, but still, would that be a concern? We just want to know, like, well, what happened in October, November? I would say it doesn't hurt to ask. Most likely, they probably most likely they're gonna probably say, well, we was renovating, and that's what happened. So, okay, right? But then all right. Let's also take a look at utilities. Look for any kind of spikes that's going to for water. And like so they did some here, low water, but that's pretty good. Dropped down. Then I noticed it stabilized. It came right back up. So, and I don't see anything that's really out, like something that's really standing out to me. So let's go down here to your other income. Now, this is where I want you to take a look at your other income, because there are some things that I'm going to shift around. Okay, that I'm going to shift around. So, so the one thing I'm going to shift around, I want to see this right here. How much is this? Right, insufficient checks. Okay, so that's not a lot of money, but your goal should still be to get rid of that. Um, what are some of the things? Let me ask now. What are some of the things that you would not include from the other income? Somebody help me out. What would you ask? What would it be?
I wouldn't include late fee or NSF because those items aren't guaranteed.
Exactly. Thank you, Alicia. Yeah, you don't want to include the late fees because your objective should be one, to get rid of those late fees. It should not be to keep them. So Alicia, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift this up top. Okay. And what was the other thing you said?
NSF.
Exactly. Let's shift this right here. Now, what I'm going to do, everyone, you if you notice, when I underwrite, I like to color code things. I just like messing with colors right there. Okay. Because I'm not going to add that in on my side. On my side. On their side, it will be. Okay. Anything else that anyone else weigh in? Is there something else that you would like to say? Well, Darryl, maybe you don't want to take into account something else. How about this? Pet fee income. What's your thoughts on that?
I always leave that in.
You leave that in?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I don't
No,
leave it in. It's not
okay,
guaranteed.
exactly. And you may get rid of pets. But Rich, I want to know how does the lender? I'm glad Richard is here because everyone now you're getting first-hand knowledge directly from the lender. So
The
Richard,
lender would
how
actually
does the go ahead.
no, the lender would actually leave in the late fees, the NSF fees, and the pet fee income. They would look at them. If like one is super large or something like that, they would look at it, but they also look at it from a trending perspective, saying this is something that's been there over the 12 months. So they would seek to include a portion of that, if not all of that number, in there. And as an investor or owner, you want that in there because that increases your proceeds. But for your underwriting perspective on your side of the equation, because I tell investors all the time, you have to underwrite for two people. One, you as an owner, and one for you as a lender. As for the lender, you want to get as much income in there as possible because that translates into more loan proceeds for you. As an owner, you want to be conservative enough to say, hey, if something goes south, I'm prepared.
Okay. So you're saying, Darryl, for the lender purposes, leave that in there or some of it, but on that second underwrite, get that thing off of there.
Yeah. Because you got to think, for example, late fee income, that's we like to see that go away, but as an owner, there's not really much you can do to change it to change another person's behavior. That's a more of a behavior issue, whether it be they don't have enough money coming in or they work two jobs, whatever. You can't make them not pay you late. You can put in fees and stuff like that to discourage them to pay you late, but you can't stop them from choosing to do that.
So then, and Richard, I want to say thank you very much for that because that is very helpful. Because I'm gonna tell you the one thing that I do, man, I eliminate that. I eliminate that.
Yeah, on mute.
Mute Daryl. You still muted.
Oh, sorry about that, everyone. I didn't know I was on mute. So so but Rich, I'm glad you mentioned that. Who was that? Wasn't that I forgot the coach name that we had on the
You muted yourself again, Daryl. Okay, there you go.
so
I think someone's talking
You
in the
muted yourself
background.
again. Oh, okay,
No,
he's like,
I
oh,
think,
no.
yeah, I think someone's talking in the background. But
Okay.
I would take on those line items, I would take more of those out. Like if you're looking at the administrative fee income, I'd question what is that on and why is it there? And it seems pretty high, right? But maybe not because of the number of units. Then I would go down to the lease termination and reletting. That's minimal, so maybe that would stay in.
right.
When it comes,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Alicia.
The untransferred utility fees. That I wouldn't include either. The maintenance and repair income, I'd look at that and see if it's a big number. If it's not a big number, then I'd probably would leave that in. The tenant eviction fees, I would remove that. Credit builder income, if we're not going to use credit builder, I would remove it. If we are using it, then I would probably leave that in there because that would offset whatever fees we're charged on our end for that service. And because it helps the tenants, I probably leave it in. When you go down to the, what is that? The former resident collections, I'd remove that. I think there was another one. I would go through and see what tenants had pet rent and on the rent roll and see when their expiration dates are. And that would determine if I left in the pet rent income.
Okay.
Some
Alicia,
of that
that
the
was
lender would take
excellent.
out too, like the lease termination relating fee. They would take like that out, forfeitures and things like that. They would pull out as well because those would they do not consider a non-recurring part of the business from that standpoint. That's just a
All
blip in
right.
the
Oh,
road.
you said the fourth time. I'm looking for it, everyone. What line is that on?
47 formal resident collections.
Yeah, thank you. So let's move this up. Okay, and let's color code these two here. I told you everybody I like using colors. All right.
I have a question for you. On
Go
the
ahead.
on the administrative fee income, you look at the numbers. The numbers went up over 2,700, 1,200, 1,350, 1,700, and went down to 300 and 550. Why is that? What was that?
So
It
I don't know
depends
what
on
the
how it's instituted.
say again, Richard.
It depends on how it's instituted. For some apartments, as part of you getting in, they charge you administration fees, and sometimes they call it a redecoration fee of $100. So as you get more tenants in, they pay that fee, but it's not an ongoing fee; it's a one-time fee. So as you have turnover, you'll get more or less.
So does the lender include that in the underwrite?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Would you do an average?
In that case, I would do an average, yes.
It would depend on the lender. Some people will look at the T3 and go from and run it from that standpoint.
Sounds good. There is one thing that's sticking out that I don't know if anyone has noticed it, but it's a very large amount of money. A large amount of money. Does anyone see a large amount of money that you would want to question?
Yeah,
Renters
that,
insurance bill back.
mm,
For income, July.
26,000. Yeah.
That 26,000. I would want to know, was that a one-time thing
Mm-hmm.
or is it going to happen again? If it's a one-time thing, I am not going to include that 26,000. Look at that. That's $64,000 right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. So I may keep the rest of that cable income, but that 26,000, I'm not adding that. That's coming out. So I'm going to move that 26,000. Oops. Let's move it right there. And you know me and my colors, everyone. But I have to I got to subtract that 28,768 from the 64,765. I have to deduct that. Other than that, the rest of this looks pretty decent.
Harold, would you question other income? Because there's a big jump in July.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You don't know what it is? Ask them what it is. Yeah, ask them what it is. Definitely. Please ask them what that is, because there may be something that that you can't do or you can't use. So definitely ask them. But I'm going to just leave it in for now. Okay. All right. So now we're done with that. Let's go ahead and start inputting the top part. Hold on one second. I got my tablet ready, so I don't have to be flipping back and forth. Okay. All right. Now I told everyone that this process we're going to run over. All right. We are definitely going to run over. So if you can hang around, hang around. If you got to leave, I understand. But hang in there as long as you can. Okay. So potential rent. Now, everyone, listen. I'm on my tablet, so I'm not flipping back and forth. But all the numbers are being pulled from here. Now, the one thing Richard Copeland had mentioned, and let's discuss this right here, is, and before I put those numbers in, oh, wait a minute, I don't want that number. Let's close that back. But I do want, oops, I want this open. And here, I'm going to put T3. Okay. All right. Now, why did that happen? But I'm not going to worry about it. Let's keep moving. So Richard, for the T3, what's your process?
Say it again.
For the T3, how do you calculate your T3?
Take the sum of the last 3 months divided by 3 and multiply it times 12. But I also look at percentages on vacancy and things like that as well.
Okay. So we're going to take the sum of the 3 months divided by, what'd you say, 12?
Divided by 3.
3? And then we're
And
going
then
to do
times
what?
12.
Times 12. Is my formula wrong?
No, you need the parentheses before the times. Yep,
Oh,
right
I
there.
think I also need some.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I need that sum. There you go.
Oh, okay.
So, yep. All right. So what we're gonna do is make this a dollar sign. Now, so Richard, now, can I just drag this straight down?
Yeah, you can drag it straight down.
All right, so then let's drag it straight down. There you go. That's your T3, everyone. That's your T3. Now, Richard, now I was always told now we should be doing income, but not expense. What you say?
That is correct. We want to do it on the income side of it, not the expense side of it. And we would do
Exactly.
it on the T6 and T9. And I would look at percentages because I'm also looking for trends. If it's trending down, is it trending up?
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
try to understand
So
why.
gotcha. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit the sum. We're going to go ahead again, take the 3 months, just like Richard said, divide that by 12, multiply
Divide
that
by
by
3
3.
times 12. Divide by 3 times 12.
Oops, I'm sorry, everyone. And multiply that by 12. Boom. Right there. Then we're just going to drag it down. Okay. There we go. Now let's add the dollar sign. Okay. All right.
Hey, Darryl, if you're talking to us, you're on mute.
Thank you. All right.
And
So
I
let's
will
put
say
some.
this, and the other income, it turns more into a science versus more of an art versus a science.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So now we've added our numbers, and I'm gonna tell everybody when it comes to us inputting the data on the T1 side, these color coded numbers, some of them are going to either be reduced or they're going to be left off altogether, or whatever, because um either because of the lender or because uh um or for what or for some other reason. Okay, so let's go ahead and now start inputting the data. Now these numbers are showing up on my tablet, so I'm coming right up over here. So let's kick it off with the T3. I'm not going to do the T6, T9 for the purpose of of the meeting. Okay. Oops. Oh, that was one thing that we did not look at, everyone. Rubs. Oh, here it is. Here's your rubs. Got it. Give me 1 second. I have it right there. Now, why did I say we didn't? We looked at it. We went right over it. All right. Okay. Now for utilities, what I normally do for T1, I do increase it a little bit because um it's going to increase over the year. You're going to wind up, oops, that's the exact same thing. It's going to go up a little bit, your utilities. Okay. Now your other income, for the other income, I'm going to put their total other income. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
And I will say this, for utility income, we typically look at it on a T12 basis, but we do have projects where people are taking over and they're implementing the rubs and stuff like that. So
Uh-huh.
we look at it a little bit differently. So that's when you start getting more into arts versus science.
All right. So let's go ahead and put that in. I got to put in my other income. Oops, gotta look at my tab. I'm looking back and forth, everyone. That's what's taking. I'm scrolling back and forth. Okay. Now here, I am going to deduct, and I'm gonna do it just like this right here. So the when it comes to the other income, those late fees from is on the T3 is 52,000. I'm going to reduce that to 20 to half. Yeah, I'm gonna reduce that say to 26,000 on my end. Reduce it by 26,000. Oops. And then I'm going to reduce the insufficient fund fees. Actually, I'm going to subtract that altogether, the whole thing. The reason being, we're going to implement systems to where you cannot pay by check. Usually, if you get an insufficient fund, somebody's paying by check. So we're going to totally implement that. Okay. Next, lease termination, former resident collection. We're going to take that away because Richard already said the lender is not going to consider it.
Daryl, do you think
Yeah.
that you should keep a small portion of insufficient funds in there? Because there are times where ACHs are returned. It's it's because it takes 3 days for things to clear, 3 to 7, I think it is.
So the answer for the ACH, once they normally pull that money, they don't you don't it's usually gone. I'll be surprised. Well, let's take it all the way out and see what happens, just in case. Right? Let's just take it out partially. In reference to I'm going to reduce that cable internet. They got a $64,000. Um, I'm going to subtract 26, I think 25,000. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to subtract 25,000. Oops. Right there. And that's what we're going to go with as for the other income. So now we're going to get into our loss to lease, bad debt, concessions, all the rest of this good stuff. And we're going to first start off with loss to lease. Negative. Okay, so what is loss to lease? Loss to lease, units that are down, units that let's say you have someone that's they're not paying rent because they're being evicted, so they're not going. So that's good. No, that's bad. That's lost to lease because you're not getting nothing there. The difference between market and the difference between the market rent and the current rent, that's a loss to lease. So that's what your loss to lease are. Okay. All right. Vacancy loss. We know what vacancy loss is. Vacancy, I mean the unit is vacant. It's gone. All right. So we're going to say uh okay. Okay, for concessions, concessions is money that you promote. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a discount. You move in. We're gonna maybe you pay, you get 1 month free or something like that, or reduce rent. A concession. That's what a concession is. All right. So, concession here is coming in. Let's take those concessions away. That's number. That's line number 4. All right, so concessions is 127. Okay. And then bad debt when someone uh 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 bad debt. Let me see if I get a good example of someone bad debt. That's money lost. You're not getting it back. You could write that off. They got evicted out. They're gone. You're not getting the money back. Bad debt right there. All right. Um, and I got to go back. There's two things that has to be put into uh on the let me go to the T12. Right here, I want to show you all something. You see the down units? That I need to add up here with this. And these two things right here, employee unit allowance, that's a loss to lease, residential lease referral, that's a loss to lease right there. So these three things I need to add. All right. I need to add to the concessions to for that purpose. So let me go back to my loss to lease, which is right here. And what I'm going to do is this. First, we're going to take the loss to lease and put it there. Negative 177,557.71 plus. Now we're going to take the down unit, which is negative 161,831.65 plus. Now we're going to have to take the employee discount, which is 13,086 plus. And then the last one is going to be the resident leasing referral. Those are all lost. Lost to lease. That's 12,443. Right there. Close. Boom. There it is. So now put in the last entry, which is going to be the bad debt. And that's coming in at 306,802. There it is. So we've just inputted the income portion of this. Now we're going to have to jump down to the operating expense. But I want to come up here and I want this here is where you need to figure out, how am I going to bring down these numbers? How am I bringing down my loss to lease? And how long is it going to take? So you get with your team, you say, okay, we got some work to do because we got a vacancy rate of 13%. We got concessions at 4%. We got bad debt at 9%. Now, the normal, I'm going to say the industry standards for this, excuse me, your bad debt usually run about 2%. Your concessions usually run about 1%. And then you have your vacancy loss that usually runs about a 2%. No, excuse me, loss to lease run about 2%. Your vacancy loss is going to run a minimum of 5%. But whatever the market is dictating, that's what you're going to put in. Okay. Now the lender may have their own standard. They may, even though, although the market may have a 9% vacancy loss, the lender still may use 5%. Okay. And if so, then I would say you can use what the lender says. So for this right here, I'm going to show you something now. I'm going to jump into it's not CoStar. All right. So it's not CoStar. So I'm going to show you something here. Seven 8 2 1 3. All right, let me share my screen. Let me log in. Oops, I can't share my screen. I mean, I can, but I can't log in. Sorry, everyone. I can't share it. The system is down. So I don't have the data. I wanted to show you the data. That's what I wanted to show you. So what we're going to do, let me go back to my screen right here and jump back here. So my goal when we get with the team, we got a lot of work we need to do. How are we going to handle this loss to lease and this vacancy? So once we understand the property and learn the story behind this property, the history behind this property, okay, now let's try to maneuver that we're going to reduce this loss to lease, let's say the first year by 5%. Okay. And then let's say the second year, we'll bring it down to 2 and we'll just carry it out from there. Okay. The vacancy loss, what are we doing by end of year 1? Is it still gonna be 13%? Hope not. Let's see if we can get that down to maybe 10. And then for year 2, let's see if we get this down to maybe 6. Or what the market is dictating, or if the lender say no, you could use 5, you know, then you may be able to do that. But I'm going to leave it at 6 and I'm going to drag it out from there. Concessions, let's look at what the market is doing. What is everyone else doing? Are they giving out free rent? Are we going to have to give out free rent? Normally it's around 2%, right? So I'm thinking by end of year 1, we drop that down to 2% and carry it out. And as for bad debt, let's study what's going on with this property. Why is bad debt so high? How can we fix it? Okay. By end of year 1, can we bring that bad debt down to 5? And then the end of year 2 down to 2%. And carry it out from there. Our property management company, we show them the plan. Okay, what's our plan on this here? Can you help us with this? Can we bring this down? They may say, yo, we could take that even better. And they show us their plan. And you can make adjustments. Okay, and you can make adjustments. Okay, now the potential rental income. This is where you need to know. Don't just start throwing in numbers like 3%, 4%, 5%. Don't do that, because your numbers could be totally wrong. Know your market. If you investing in that market, you should know your market. Okay. If you ask the broker who has CoStar, say, hey, would you run CoStar report for me for this particular market so I can see what the trends are? Are the trends going up? Are the trends going down? Where are we with potential rent growth? Okay. So with this particular property, we're coming in around 2.5. Okay. 2.5. Now you see this here. It's a dollar sign. Right. And you're saying, well, what's that 50 for? Right. That's a cap lock. So no, this here will not go greater than 50. It's not right. And I can even reduce this or raise it, but this here is just telling you right here, there's a cap lock. It won't go greater than 50 now that you manually adjust it. But 2.5% for 3 years, that's what we're looking at. And then 2.75, it looks like it's going to be. Because you have to know the market. You can't just be guessing when it comes to this. All right. You need doing. Okay. So now we put those numbers in. And now we're going to come down to the T12. And look at your finances. Look at your T12 and look for numbers that are like, wow, I need to question this, right? Take a look at your totals down here. See that? Take a look at your totals. I would want to know what's going on here. Look how much this jumped up. 13, 14. What is it that went up right here? And what is this, right? You want to know what is that? That's eviction filing. They started kicking people out. See that? Boom, boom. It came down a little bit here, a little bit there. But that's a question, that's something else you need to think about. Am I going to have to now continue with this if I get this property? Because they didn't look at that. Eviction here, low. But then, so are they cleaning out the property? Okay, so that's a question that you're going to want to examine. You're going to want answers to. Okay, marketing. You could look at the marketing trends, see they spent a lot of money. See that right here? Right here, here. And I bet you they spent a lot of money because they wanted to, after doing all these evictions, you want to fill that place back up. Okay. Payroll expense, take a look at each one. Look for an outlier. Ask questions. Say 20, 30, 21, 26, 33, 46 right here. That's 46. That's the site salary. You know, what did they hire someone? You know, that's a question. 16,000. What's going on here? That's another question. What is that one? Site maintenance salary. Okay, there it is. So what's happening here? Okay, let's look at coming down to this next row. The next row doesn't look too bad. It's like they was a little high here with repair and maintenance, but like they got it pretty much. I guess a few things were going wrong, but it doesn't look that bad. Make ready. Spent a lot here. One, that's because someone tore up the place. And it says make ready cleaning. Again, you see that there. Okay. And then we're going to jump down to contract services. Yeah, contract services, like they went up, like they must have gotten a new company in place or something happened, right? You can ask about that. Utilities, utilities look pretty stable. There's not much you're going to do about that. That's something you really don't have no control over. Management fee, hanging steady. Your taxes, look at your taxes. Did they jump up? They went up here, here, okay? Well, this is really tax and insurance, but you want to take a look at taxes, and yes, they did. So they went up a little bit, which does affect your bottom line. You may want to contest that or protest that. Now, a lot of times, franchise tax, I usually move this from here when I put up in general admin. So it's really, this doesn't really belong down below. It really belongs up in general admin. Okay. For the purpose of this, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it here. All right. Now, if you want to know what your expense ratio is, right, take your, right here, take that and divide it by, take your expense divided by your income. And there you go. Put a percent on it. You're running a 54% here. Let's see how this trending all the way to the end. As you can see right here, it started going up. Now, look at this. 73, 82, 88, 90, 94, 69. So they were doing a lot of things in these 3 months. I'm gonna say 4 months, but look, it started dropping right here. So ask, yo, what's going on here? Matter of fact, you may want to just take it back to 73%. All right. Because look at this, climbing straight up. Okay. So I would ask questions about that. Overall, you're coming at 69%. And this is high. Okay. Your expenses are high, very close to your income. That's concern, right? So this is you and your private manager going to definitely put plan into place, okay, to get this down. Okay. So now let's go ahead and input our expenses. And what I do, I usually take it directly from the T12 and go down the row of the T12. This way um I don't lose anything or miss anything, that is. Okay. So here, kicking off with general admin. $107, $268. Okay. As you can see, we're coming in a little lower. We're going to go to marketing next. Oh, and then what I'm doing, I'm going straight down, getting the totals off of the T12. That's all I'm doing, and I'm inputting them. We're coming pretty close. Okay. Payroll and expense. Let's take a look at their payroll. Okay. Oh, not too far off, right? Looking pretty good. Keep going. Hit the next one. Repair and maintenance. Repair and maintenance right here. Okay. Wow. Ours is going to go up. So something, something here, either they're not adding in, or, sometimes they try to reduce certain things to make the cost, the NOI look greater. But, you have to go according to what your property manager is going to be charging. So make ready. Okay. And then we're going to do contract services. Okay. Next, utilities. Make sure I'm on the right line. So utilities are coming in at 333,368. I am going to increase my utilities a little bit. Insurance. Oh no, management fees. Management. Okay, and we're looking pretty good there. So now we're going to come down here to insurance. There's two insurance here. I believe one of these could be flood, another one is property, or one could be liability, or for whatever reason they have it here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add those two together, property and other.
I think the two insurances may include the tenant's insurance that's paid for or reimbursed by the tenants.
Yep. And don't be afraid to ask too, right? Right, Alicia? We should ask, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, at this point, I'm going to put an estimation number in here. I'm going to bump this up to 275,000. But guess what? Now, when I'm done with this is going to be sent to JT Lynch at Ramey King, so I could get a better idea of what my insurance is going to be. Okay. And as for taxes, and I'm also going to add, so I'm going to add there's a other tax on here. We need to find out what that other tax is. It's only $300, but still, let's find out what that other tax is. Okay, it's only $300. All right. The franchise tax, I am going to put that up top with the general admin right here. And that's going to be franchise tax of 2202. There you go. Okay. So now our expenses are inputted, and the only thing now is to put in your operating reserves. You will get that number once we put the finance information in, then you're going to get that's if you're going to have an operating reserves. I always hold the operating reserves. And this, for this property, depending on how long we're going to hold it for, is going to depend on where I'm going to put it, whether it's a 5-year, 7-year hold. Okay, that's where that number is going to go. All right. So we have put in everything here. We're looking pretty decent, looking pretty good, inputting our numbers. And we're going to come over here now to monthly. Just take a look at it, because this is really a calculation breaking down by month. Okay. You may want to show your investors, your team, may want to take a look at it. You also want to see your graph here. How's your rent going right here? Okay, so now we're going to jump into our renovation budget. Okay, so for my model, we leave this blank right here, not unless we have to use it. But other than that, we're going to leave that blank. But we are going to renovate these units. I usually put in for here just to get an estimate of what it's going to cost. And until I get down there to see the property, right, we're going to put in, say, $7,000 per unit. Now we could always come back and readjust this, because once you get down there and take a look at things, you can be like, yo, Darryl, let's readjust these the cost per unit. Okay. And if it's too much space, you could easily just hide them, to make it look a little neater. Okay. Um, I like to separate my interior from my exterior. So this is my exterior. I know it's 256 units, and I usually allocate at least 5,000 per unit right there. Okay. And you see all that space. What we're going to do is just right here, hide, don't delete. Okay. So now we have that completed. Come over here to finance. So now at this point, we don't know what the seller is asking. You could take, if you know your market and you know what the price range, where it's coming at a cost per door, then you could say, okay, I know that at a cost per door at 90,000 a door or 100,000 a door, this is where they're coming in at. So, but since you don't know the asking price, you get with the broker, send a message over, talk with him or whatever, and say, hey, what's the whisper? Okay. And he may say, well, coming in at 90,000 per door, and so that's 23 right there. You're talking about 23 million. Okay. The asking cap rate is coming at a 4.34. If you know your market, and once you put in that price and you look at that market cap rate, if the market cap rate, that the asking cap rate versus the market cap rate, if you notice that the market cap rate is like 5, then you know, yo, this guy is not being realistic. Okay. He's not being realistic with the price. So I always say like this, don't worry about his price. His price isn't important. What you got to worry about is your price. Okay. That's what you're worrying about. You're going to worry about your IRR. You're worrying about your equity multiple. You're worrying about your cash on cash. You're worrying about this here. This is what you're worrying about. Okay. Now, I'm going to do something. I'm going to hold tight from moving here. Did Richard Copeland leave? Did he have to leave?
I'm back.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to come
I'm here.
back to that. All right. I'm going to come back to that. So here, hold on one second, everyone. We're going to come back to this right here, because the purchase price isn't there because I didn't put one in, right? Right here. This is the purchase price. So we're going to come back to this section, because this way we're going to put the title. Don't worry about the rest of this, right? But I will explain it. So, but we're going to come over here to the investor side. Now, some like to do a pref. I don't do prefs. I just do straight splits. Okay. So we're going to do a 75, 25, 75. That's what we're going to do on this particular deal. And this is the reason why I'm skipping over financing, because now when I go back, some of the numbers, IRR, equity multiple, cash on cash is going to show up. Okay, so we're going to now jump over here. We don't do waterfalls, but however, we are going to have a GP equity split, and that's going to be again 25-75. If you look over here to your far right, deal metric, this populates automatically. All right, under a 5-year hold, we may decide to do a 7. We may decide to do something else, but we'll figure that out. Okay, now I'm gonna come back to finance, and my concern is here, the IRR, equity multiple, and so forth. If he's, let's just say he's asking 23 million, where are we coming in? First of all, the lender is gonna, I got to get with Richard to find out what's the loan purchase, what's the loan, the value, is it 75, 65? Okay. So depend on what's happening in the market. He'll say, Darryl, we're running 70%, 75%. So Richard, what have you been seeing in the market with loans now?
Most stuff is falling in between 60 and 70% loan to value. Of course, we have things a little bit lower and things a little bit higher from that standpoint. Most of it falling in between 60 and 70.
So we're going to go with a 65% on LTV. Where are you seeing interest rates being placed right now?
10 years is like 4.5 right now. So throw in probably about 150, 180 on the spread. So that puts you anywhere between 6 and 6.3.
Okay, so if he's coming in at a 6.3, I'm going to go up to 6.9. Matter of fact, let's go 7. Okay. And I would like to get 2 years or maybe 3 years to IO, but I'm just going to go 2 years. Maybe he could get me 3. Okay. So now we're going to, with everything that we have inputted, we still haven't seen, oh, you're still missing some blues over here. So we're saying a 5-year hold. Let's just leave it for a 5-year. The sell on our exit cap is going to be, I'm going to push it exactly over. I'm going to push it to push it up by 1% of a point. But for the cost of the sale, I'm going to put that at 2%. So now I'm going to put a purchase price. I need to see what my hold on a minute. The market cap rate, I do believe, came in at I do believe it was 5. When I looked at it, I think it was 5.75. I'm gonna have to check that. And now my exit cap, I'm going to make 6.75. Now, normally it's only a half of 1%. For it's 1/10 of a point for every year. But I'm just being a little more careful due to the fact of the economy. We don't know where things are going to be down in the future. So let's just hold it at 1% greater. And I'm going to put this number here. My purchase price, I got to see what 18 million. As you can see right here, sale price turned red. I'm not even looking over to my numbers yet, and I got a red. Okay. But let's take a look to see where we are. As you can see, it's not looking good. It's not. It's not looking good. Okay. So I would need to push this down even further on this property to try to get that number where I need it to be right here. I need, and so my goal is, and if, let me show you how this works here. Okay. These are my goals right here. Where do I want my target to be? All right. Purchase cap rate. I could bump that to a 6. Stabilize. Yep, that'd be good. And year one, my my cash flow during year one, we have to be doing pretty good. Let's take that to 6. Investor internal rate of return, I want a 15. I do want a 2x on my money, and I've dropped mine down to 7. But if I could get an 8, I like that better. And as you can see here, we're not doing none of that. Okay. So let's come back over here. And I'm going to drop this one more time. And then I'm going to open this up. So as you can see right here, 58,000. That's not going to work. I could tell you that right now. Right.
Hey, Darryl, you can pick up on your interest rate a little bit. Uh, if it's an SBL deal, 7 would
Uh-huh.
probably be more appropriate. But since it's conventional, you get a better break, probably around at 6.5. That's still on the high side.
And
Uh,
that's still on the high
so
side, 6.5.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else that we could probably adjust?
At 65% leverage, you probably can get a little bit more IO in there. I would go with 3 years
Okay,
until we run the numbers. Won't know for sure, but
correct. All right. So now, everyone, as you can see, the lender has already said, "Hey, Dad, you could probably do this. You could probably do that." Now, suppose we were to change our sell year instead of 5. Let's say we hold it 7. Would that make a difference? Right? As you can see, I don't know if you realized it, but right here, it did make it did change. Let's see, what did it change from? See there, right there. It's not doing good at all. So let's take a look. How can what can we do? Let me see how many people we have on. Not too many. All right. Is there something? Whoa, look at that. The cash flow, we're super negative. If you look right here, everyone, look how negative we are. So we need to do what? We need to increase our cash flow. That's what we need to do. This is not a good deal. So how do you increase your cash flow? Can someone tell me how? How do you increase your cash flow?
Go up on the rent.
Yeah. You got to try to see, okay, can we increase the rents? You know, again, remember I said I'm leaving this blank. This part is the only part that we did not complete. That means we would need to do to market analysis to see if we could bring the rents up. Okay,
Can we
that's
do
one.
some improvements to make the rent go up?
So that's an excellent question. We need to see how much of a difference is the market versus where they are right now. So let's say that all the market rents are coming in about where we are here. Will we be able to increase our rents? No, we will not be able. All right, so that's a no. We will not be able to increase our rents if the market is close to this right here. Okay. I could tell you right now, this is a mistake. I'm glad I saw that.
Hey, Darryl, sorry, I gotta leave. I have a doctor's appointment I have to go to.
Okay, no
Uh,
problem. This is going to be
so
released anyway.
can I ask you a quick question? How much would
Sure.
you offer? How much would you pay for this property?
Well, I'm not finished yet. I would have to, we still got to pull comps to see where can we take these rents, if we could take them anywhere. There's certain other things we're going to have to look at in order to see where we are. Remember, we saw a decline in rents where's my chart?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw a decline in rents.
Yeah,
I saw
right here.
information.
So we need to really hit the market to see what's going on. And there's a few things here I saw that passed me by that should not have.
Mm.
So I made a mistake. But like right here, let's take this up to 843. So yeah, I should have checked that, everyone, but that wasn't correct.
Oh,
But let's see
guys,
if it made a difference.
it's nice being here, but I gotta go. And
All right.
hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, right? Tomorrow you have another show tomorrow?
No, we don't do they're going podcast now. So they're not gonna on Wednesdays, they're not holding a meeting anymore.
Okay, I meant to ask you, but I sent you a text, I sent you a chat, message in chat.
Uh-huh.
So either call me or I'll call you as questions I want to ask you that I don't want to ask.
So Darryl,
So
based upon the changes that you're doing right now, what you're saying is whenever you have AI do numbers, you just want to verify them.
yeah, you want to verify them. You want to see where what's going on. The most important thing is like Alicia said, and and I know you probably hear this 1,000 times: verify, 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 right? Verify. So verify your numbers. But everyone, this is what I really wanted to walk through. I and I like this property. I like what that is. Let me rephrase that. I like where the property is located. When I did my real estate market analysis, it came out very well. So I am going to go back, take a look at these numbers one more time, see if I can somehow increase my numbers right here. Because it's a mistake somewhere. So I got to go back and take a look at everything. Go ahead, Alicia.
I was just going to say, based upon where you left off previously, before Daniel started speaking, based upon what Rhonda was talking about, your numbers should start to improve because you plan to renovate, which increases the leverage on the property.
Yeah, but your numbers, we may have to decrease
Mm-hmm.
the renovation. Let's let's say we do comps, but the comps are coming in close to our current rents. You don't want to push your numbers greater than the comps because
Correct.
now you may have a vacant building.
Correct.
But if of course if there is, the comps come in and we could I hate to say jack up the rents, but we could raise the rents according to the market. Then
Right.
yeah, that's what we will do. And yeah, that would make it look a lot better. So everyone, there's still work that needs to be done on this particular deal. Oh, this I was going to answer questions. Let me see. Hold on one second. Did anyone post questions? Give me 1 second, everyone. I'm just taking a look.
I think you answered. Well, I don't know if they sent it to you directly, but I think you answered the
Okay.
questions.
I did? Okay, great. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
The
that
we
was
did
ones
it.
have
that I can
questions.
see, yes.
Yeah, that was it. Fantastic. So I answered the questions. All right. So we went 2 hours. I had an idea we was going to go 2 hours. But I want to thank you all. Every now and then we're going to be underwriting an actual property. This way you can actually see the process of underwriting, which is very important. And I want to thank you all for listening. If you have any questions for those who are viewing this on YouTube, if you have questions, ask. And if you would like to join us on the Commercial Multifamily Mastermind, I'm gonna put the link in the remarks or description. That way you could join us. And excuse me, it looks like I'm gonna have to go back to every Tuesday because I think people forgot about today. So,
Yeah, that's it.
but
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for coming. Do anyone have any questions in reference to underwriting?
I have a question, Darryl, but it is not in reference. Well, it can be. I was wondering if there's a possibility that you can invite some of those who do capital raising to this platform, perhaps once a month or so, or every other, to maybe every 3 weeks or somewhere in there so we can keep that flavor running. I believe there was a lot of people who really would prefer having it on this type of platform opposed to a podcast. I don't know where the votes came, but I mean, it was great. It really showed forth quite a bit of unity there opposed to a
Right.
podcast. So just a question. I don't know if that's something you can entertain.
So, excellent question. I'm going to ask you to please shoot a email over to Jim and express how you feel by switching capital raising over to a podcast. That you got a lot out of it, and you feel like the podcast isn't going to be as effective. So I'm going to say, please reach out to him. Matter of fact, if those who are watching, if you used to go to the capital raise strategy session on Wednesdays at 2 p.m., I'm gonna put the link in the description below so that you can reach out to Jim and say, listen, I understand you want to do the podcast thing, but hey, I was getting more out of the network and that socialization than than a podcast. And maybe he bring it back and just say, hey, okay, we'll do it. Now, in reference to bringing it here, I'm strictly underwriting, and that's all I focus on. The capital raise strategy session, I would like everyone to reach out to Jim and have Jim just bring it back if he can. But yeah, the underwriting session is strictly underwriting, and my logo may be changing pretty soon to where it's going to reflect that we just do underwriting. So, but let me think about that too.
Okay. Yeah. It's not, it's almost, it would be not even so much as sharing your platform than having a guest speaker, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
got you. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So, any other questions, anyone? Any other questions? All right. And Alicia did put the GOB email in the chat space. Please save that, save the chat, and please email Jim. Let Jim know. Say, hey, can you please bring back the capital raise strategy session? And I guess I have to delete that off my calendar now, all of the Zoom calls. But yeah. So listen, thank you everyone for coming out today. I appreciate you hanging in there for 2 hours. And we will be doing this occasionally so that we can start getting more involved. And for those who would like to know more and would like to follow up with me on how this deal is going on, or you may want to take part, reach out to me. Okay. Don't be afraid. Reach out to me. All right. Because once we get these numbers tightened up, we may be looking for some people. All right. All right. Thank you for your time. See you in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Not unless I go back to once every Tuesday. All right. But other than that, I'll see you in 2 weeks, everyone. And we may have a guest speaker. Okay. We should have a guest speaker in 2 weeks. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being part of Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. And remember, we are a member of the GOB. Have a blessed day.